Hey everyone. So today we are going to look into differences between method overloading and method overriding. Okay, so let's start. I'll just remove everything from the last session. Right. So we'll talk about overloading first, and then we'll get into overriding. All right. Okay, so see the basic difference between overloading and overriding is overloading is applicable basically within the same class, and overriding is applicable uh, across parent and child classes. So that's the first difference between overloading and overriding. So when we are talking about overloading, it's within the same class. So we'll see like what exactly overloading means. And when we talk about overriding, it's actually across two classes. It's between the parent class and the child class. Okay. All right. So let's talk about overloading. So what we'll do is let's create a class. So I'll go and okay, I'll probably just create a class here itself. I also wanted to show you guys how we can, within a single file, we can create multiple classes as well. So I'll create a quick class here. So I'll call it as uh, think of a better name, math basics. So now I want to provide an add method in this particular class. So I'll say public in add, and I want to provide two parameters to this method. And then I want to return simply a plus b. All right, simple method definition in a class called as math basics. So now the thing is, let's say I also want to do addition of three numbers, right? Three integers. So in that case, I mean, see, one way is you can call this method as add two numbers, and you can create another method and call it as add three numbers, right? But see, actually we are doing the same operation. It's just the difference is just the number of parameters that we are passing. So in this case, to solve this particular problem and to use the same name, what we do is we use method overloading, which basically implies that there are like multiple methods by the same name. And the difference between these two methods is the number of parameters that you pass to them, right? So in this case, I can create another method called as add. And in this case, I'll pass in three parameters, and in return I'll calculate the summation of a, b, and c and return from this method. Okay, so now let's create an instance of math basics. Call math basics dot add. So if you see, right, now I see two options coming here, right? So that's how the compiler would show you that, okay, for this particular method, there are multiple overloads. So if you have three overloads for a same method, it would show you one of three. And I can click on these arrows to go between all of the different definitions of the method overload that I have. So in this case, I can provide either two or three. That's a valid call to this method. And I can also say 2, 3, 4. Both ways are correct. But if I call it using just one argument, in that case, it would give me a compile time error saying that no, there is no overload, which takes one argument. Okay, so this basically is invalid. All right, so this is how overloading works in C#. So one important thing that you should also remember about overloading is you cannot create another method, this method, just on the just that the difference of these two definitions is only in the return type, right? So for example, if I want to do this convert dot to string, right? I mean, I cannot do this. So what it says is already defines a method called add with the same parameters. So this method overload actually just checks for the number of arguments and the type of arguments, right? It would not check for the return type. So even if return types are different in these two methods, still for an overload, it's a compile time error, right? Because the number of parameters and their types are the same. So this is an invalid declaration of an overloaded method. Let's talk about overriding now, right? So overriding, again, it's not applicable within the same class. So we definitely need a parent-child relationship here. So I think we already have few classes here that depict parent-child relationship. So we have an animal class. Okay, so the animal class in this case was an abstract class. So for now, I'll just remove this abstract keyword and I'll just remove this abstract method, right? So let's say we have a virtual method here, sleep, and let's go to the child class dog, which inherits from animal class. And in this particular case, I'll just remove this. There's no definition. So here is I'm overriding the definition of sleep method, right, in my child class, and I can just do something here, right? So I can, oh, sorry, I can probably say blah blah blah. Dog is barking. So in the parent class, sorry, sleeping. Parent class, the definition of sleep method was printing out the name of the object, right? Basically, this whatever name we would give in this property, the name of that object's property, and no, concatenate it with sleeping. But now that we have overridden the definition in this dog class, so if I create an instance of dog class and call the sleep method, it would actually print out this. Right? So this is how overriding works. So that's the in a nutshell, right? That's the difference between overloading and overriding. Overloading is having the same different methods of the same name in the same class. The only difference between these methods is the number of arguments, the parameters that are passed to it, and the type of parameters. Right? And overriding is applicable in a base class, child class inheritance scenario, wherein the child class actually overrides the behavior of the same method. So in this particular case, the parameters would, the signature of the method would exactly be the same, right? It's just that you are overriding the functionality inside your child class. So if I have like one parameter here in my base class, the child class would also have the same parameter. So, so that's it, I guess, about overloading and overriding. Um, Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.